Do you have any remorse?
Remorse for what?
In hearings last year, the former FBI agent responsible for cultivating mob informants in Boston defended the practice.
So you really don't really care much, and you don't really have any remorse. Is that true?
Would you like tears or something, or what?
Pardon me?
What do you want, tears?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to San Joaquin Valley Transparency. Today I have a special treat for you. I started a new channel, and I've already uploaded the first video there. Today I'm going to mirror that video, and I want to send you guys over to that channel. It's going to be different from what I'm used to doing. Before I started YouTube, I used to read a lot of books, especially mafia books. But I used to also read a lot of random stuff as well. I learned a lot of things along the way. A lot of stuff is useless to what I do on my San Joaquin Valley Transparency channel. When I first started YouTube, I used to watch a lot of random stuff, and to this very day, random stuff pops up in my notifications. So I still see a lot of random stuff. One thing I've discovered about my San Joaquin Valley Transparency channel is the fact that I have put a lot of stress on myself throughout the years. I'm always in a hurry to help the next channel grow. Many of you that have followed me for a long time know the kind of effort and work that I've put in to try to help new channels, not just so that I can become successful on YouTube. And I will say that I have made over $1 million on YouTube collectively. I would say that I'm successful here. But folks, recently I went to the doctor, and come to find out, I have a condition called GERD, and I've also been diagnosed pre-diabetic. I just took an x-ray and found out that I have some bone spurs. They're sending me to do a CT scan, a colonoscopy, and that other thing that they put down your throat to make sure I don't have ulcers or tumors or anything like that, or masses. But one of the things that the doctor told me is that I need to do my best not to stress. And like I said, this channel has produced a lot of stress for me. But when I was younger, I used to read when I used to get stressed out. And so I started reading again. And when I started reading a book recently, something clicked. And that was, why not read to you guys? Whether it's articles, whether it's a chapter in a book or something like that. And tried to keep these topics light. In the videos that I've produced before, I believe they bring a lot of stress. A lot of times police officers are violating people's rights. Seeing that police officers get away with this stuff all the time. Sometimes talking to parents who've lost a loved one. That's very stressful, folks. And very sad. And I also lost 2 really good friends that I made while starting my channel on YouTube. They recently passed away. And when they passed away, it took a lot out of me. That's when I began to notice that a lot of the symptoms that I've had were getting worse, like that. So I decided to make some changes. I've lost 30 pounds in 3 weeks, folks, from 174 to 144. I also quit smoking. I quit drinking alcohol. I quit drinking coffee. I quit drinking sodas. I'm on a strict diet. And I have my family members trying to help me out, make sure that I'm safe and I'm healthy. So you guys know that I've gone out of my way to try to help this community grow, help smaller channels. And I have done a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes, not just myself, but my wife and my sons. We've talked to a lot of channels on the phone, or we've gone to visit a few channels. We've gone up and down California, and I've recorded with some of the best guys out there. And I want you guys to know and understand that I'm not quitting this channel. And even if one day it's the end for me, I've set it up so that my boys can continue my work. My boys also do what I do. They've also gone out to record police as well. And I made sure that I let them know to get out there and record whenever they can, because it keeps their credibility intact. But another thing that's extremely important for me and my family is the fact that we keep helping this community grow. And I promise you guys, we're going to keep doing that. With that being said, I started another channel that's going to be less stressful for me. At least for right now, I'm going to be doing some work on there. I really think you guys are going to like it. The first video talks about the WITSEC protection program, and it talks about Joe the Animal Barboza. I've already uploaded that video to that channel, and I'm going to go ahead and mirror it here. And we're already working on our second video. That video is going to be about windmills, BB guns, and the Ford Model A. All in one story. We're going to tie it together. You guys will see why soon. So be ready for that video. Like I said, it's going to be random stuff. So far, I'm having fun with this channel, and that's what I want to do, folks. I want to have fun here. I don't want to stress out that much anymore. So without further ado, please watch this video all the way through. You guys are going to learn something from it, guaranteed. But I also believe that you guys are going to want to go subscribe to our new channel. because we're going to work hard on that channel just like we did this one. I really do appreciate you guys, especially you longtime supporters. So go ahead and watch this video. Let us know what you guys think. I really do appreciate you guys. Let's get right to it. The Federal Witness Protection Program, WITSEC. If you've ever wondered what it's like being in the federal government's Witness Protection Program, check out the book WITSEC, Inside the Federal Witness Protection Program by Pete Early and Gerald Scher. It will tell you everything you need to know and more. The Double Cross. In 1967, a mafia hitman named Joe the Animal Barboza was arrested on minor charges and thrown in jail. His boss, Massachusetts mobster Raymond Patriarca, was supposed to bail him out, but Patriarca turned on Barboza instead, having 3 of Barboza's friends assassinated. Barboza figured he was next and decided he wasn't going to just sit around and wait for someone to kill him.
You know, I've been termed like a canary, a songbird. Well, I may be all kinds of birds, but, you know, Patriarca is a jailbird today. You understand?
He immediately contacted the FBI and offered to testify on one condition. The government had to protect Barboza, his wife, their daughter against retaliation from the mafia for the rest of their lives. Breaking the mafia's code of silence was an automatic death sentence, not just for Barboza but for his family as well. The FBI agreed and handed the job over to the U.S. Marshals Service, the federal agency charged with overseeing the security of the federal courts. Barboza goes on the move. Once the deal was made, deputies transferred Barboza to a new jail and registered him under a false name so that nobody would know who he was. Another team of deputies set up a 24-hour guard at his house, an arrangement that lasted until Patriarca took out a $300,000 contract on Barboza. Fearing for the family's safety, the marshals moved the Barboza to an abandoned lightkeeper's house on a small island off the coast of Massachusetts and stationed 16 armed guards there to protect them 24 hours a day. Guess who had to fork that bill, folks? That's right, you. They stayed on the island until a Boston newspaper found out and revealed where they were hiding, and they had to move again. Remember when I mentioned that it was your tax dollars that paid for it? Barboza and his family remained in hiding and under round-the-clock protection for more than a year before Barboza testified against Patriarca in court. In the months that followed, he testified against more than a dozen other mobsters as well. By the time all the trials were over, Patriarca was behind bars and his criminal organization had been crippled. It was an impressive victory for the Justice Department, but protecting Barboza had cost a fortune. More than 300 deputies had rotated in and out of 2-week shifts guarding the family. And now that the trials were over, a way had to be found to protect Barboza for the rest of their lives. But how? For now, the Barbozas were hiding out in the military housing in Fort Knox, Kentucky, but they couldn't stay there for long. A lifetime of 24-hour guards was out of the question. It cost way too much money, consumed way too much manpower, and put too many lives at risk. There had to be a better way. Hiding in plain sight. Gerald Scher, an attorney with the Justice Department's Organized Crime Division, had been thinking about the problem for several years and came up with an answer. Why not just give the witnesses new identities and move them to a new part of the country? In those days, mobsters were pretty territorial. They rarely left the cities where they lived. A witness from the New York City mob was a dead man if he stayed in New York. But if he moved to Portland, Oregon, let's say, he'd probably be safe. Nobody would know he was there. And if he changed his name and avoided contact with friends and relatives back home, nobody would be able to track him down. Round-the-clock armed guards would be unnecessary. Scher was convinced that this was the best way to protect government witnesses like Barboza. He knew it would work because some deputies in the Marshal Service were already beginning to move mobsters around the country on their own initiative. But Scher wanted to put an official program in place. He figured that if potential witnesses knew that such a program existed, they were more likely to cooperate with prosecutors. Not many people agreed with Scher, but when President Lyndon Johnson's political opponents accused Johnson of being soft on crime, a presidential commission on law enforcement started looking for new ways to nab criminals. And in 1967, Scher pitched his witness protection idea to the commission. They recommended it be President Johnson, but it didn't become law until President Nixon signed the Witness Security Program, what is now known as WITSEC, as a part of the Organized Crime Control Act of 1970. WITSEC by the numbers. Initially, Scher figured that no more than a few dozen new witnesses would enter the program each year. His guess was way off. For one thing, government prosecutors were eager to use witness testimony to win convictions. But just as importantly, every time a mob witness was able to break omerta, the mafia's code of silence, and survive, it became more likely that other disgruntled or imprisoned mobsters would agree to rat out their crime bosses. By 1972, witnesses were entering the program at a rate of 200 a year. 2 years later, that number had doubled. To date, the WITSEC program has relocated more than 7,000 government witnesses and 9,000 of their family members. The Marshal Service estimates that more than 10,000 convictions have been obtained with the help of WITSEC witnesses. So far, none of the witnesses in the program have been murdered in retaliation for their testimony, although 30 witnesses who left the program have been murdered, including the mobster who helped start it all. In February 1976, Joe the Animal Barboza left the program and returned to a life of drug dealing, extortion, and murder. He was gunned down in San Francisco, California in a drive-by shooting that police believe was a mob hit. And though WITSEC was originally set up to battle the mafia, today more than half of the people who enter the program are witnesses in drug trials. Fewer than 1 in 6 are connected to the mafia. It's time to start over. Any relatives or loved ones of a witness are eligible to enter the program if they are potential targets. This includes grandparents, in-laws, girlfriends, boyfriends, even mistresses. When a witness enters WITSEC, they get a new name, assistance moving to a new city, and help with rent and other expenses until they find a job. They also get a new birth certificate, social security number and card, a new driver's license, but that's about it. The Marshal Service don't provide or create elaborate fake pasts or phony job histories, and it doesn't create fake credit histories either. And that led to difficulties with folks in the Witness Protection Program getting a job. It's not easy finding a job without a resume or job history. You go to get a job, you got no references, and they're not going to lie for you, says former mobster Joseph Joe Diggs Iannuzzi. They don't help you get references for an apartment. You have to go and muscle it for yourself. But the Marshal Service does what it can to help. It has compiled a list of companies whose CEOs have agreed to provide jobs to government witnesses. When a witness is placed with the company, only the CEO or some other high corporate official knows that the employee is a government witness, and even they are not told the person's true identity. They are, however, given details of the employee's criminal history. You go to the head of a corporation, says retired Deputy Marshal Donald McPherson, and you tell him the crimes. You have that obligation. You're not going to help a bank robber get a job as a bank teller, right? Witnesses are strictly forbidden from revealing their true identity, addresses, or even the region of the country they live in to friends and loved ones back home. If family members don't know the names and whereabouts of the relatives in the program, the mob is less likely to come after them and try to get the information. Now, it's a myth that when witnesses enter the program, they are forbidden from ever contacting loved ones outside the program again. They are only forbidden from making direct contact. Letters and phone calls can be forwarded through the Marshal Service. In-person meetings can be arranged at safe, neutral sites, such as federal buildings or safe houses. Does the program work? It's estimated that as many as 1 in 5 return to a life of crime after entering the Witness Protection Program. That's about half the recidivism rate of convicts released from prison. So moral of the story is, if you don't ever want to enter the WITSEC program, don't get involved with bad people, because sometimes you could find yourself running from them, hiding from them, and even putting your family's lives at danger. Now, there's several mobsters that have come out and that have been in the WITSEC program before. A couple of them even started YouTube channels. As a matter of fact, Sammy the Bull Gravano has pretty much done all the things that we talked about, leaving the program, selling drugs, getting in trouble again. And I don't know if he's afraid of the mafia coming after him anymore. But his YouTube channel is extremely entertaining, his stories are mind-blowing, and I definitely believe that his channel is worth the watch. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video. Have a blessed day. Alright guys, thank you for sticking around. Because you did, I'm going to give you guys a bonus. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more information that wasn't in the video and that's not in the video on the new channel. That video was specifically on the creation and how WITSEC program came about. But here's the extra info that hasn't been fed to you guys yet. Joe the Animal Barboza lied, folks, in his testimony. And the feds, they knew it. They screwed up big time. Innocent people were in prison, and they were let out 30-something years later. Think about the magnitude of that, folks. The WITSEC program was created to protect the liar and the killer. Ouch, America. Alright, folks, please go subscribe to that channel. You're going to enjoy the next video. We're already working on it. I'm going to drop the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Let's go get some subs on that channel, guys. You guys have a blessed day. I'll see you on the next video that we drop here as well. Peace.
It's the sort of thing that should never happen in the United States.
Jim Wilson is chief counsel for a House committee investigating the FBI's conduct in the Boston cases. It discovered that Hoover's own creation, the Top Echelon Informant Program, routinely protected vicious criminals, including repeat killers, in exchange for inside information.
The Salvati case isn't the only element of what went on in New England. There's a pattern that went for nearly 40 years of government misconduct.
Do you have any remorse?
Remorse for what?
In hearings last year, the former FBI agent responsible for cultivating mob informants in Boston defended the practice.
So you really don't really care much, and you don't really have any remorse. Is that true?
Would you like tears or something? What?
Pardon me?
What do you want, tears?
Joseph Salvati is now suing the FBI for $300 million. In all, the damages sought by those falsely imprisoned and their families exceed $2 billion. The chairman of the House committee investigating all this, Republican Dan Burton, is so outraged he's asked Congress to remove J. Edgar Hoover's name from FBI headquarters.